A very good morning to you all and welcome back to Dr. Vipin's Biotech and Bioinformatics classroom. And today we discuss the inbuilt datasets in R as also the datasets that can be made available through the libraries that you install. So today we are going to see how to access inbuilt datasets in R. These are the datasets that come with the base R package and with the default installation of R. Then we'll also see how to access datasets that are exclusive to certain libraries. And then we'll also see how we can copy these data sets and write onto a file and how you can access the file. So one way of accessing the list of data sets that are available in base R package is to use the command data. So you say data and then you open and close round brackets without any arguments. When you run this, you get a list of data sets that are available in base R package. So here you are, data sets in package data sets. So this package datasets is the default dataset package in R and can be accessed using data and round brackets with no arguments. So here you are, this is a list of datasets and this includes the names and one-line annotation of what the database holds. So for example, here air passengers, monthly airline passenger numbers from 1949 to 1960, right? Then you have some biological datasets, for example, BOD, this is biochemical oxygen demand. Then you have CO2, carbon dioxide uptake in grass plants. Then you have chick weight. Again, this is weight versus age of chicks in different diets. Then you have DNAs. This is ELISA assay for DNAs. And then, of course, you can move on. There are a lot more. For example, you have puromycin, reaction velocity of an enzymatic reaction. Then you have some interesting ones like Titanic. Survival of passengers on the Titanic, right? And this is one very common data set that is used by people to explain various functions in R. Then you have tooth growth, so the effect of vitamin C on tooth growth in guinea pig. And then you have one common one, which you're going to see today also, is what is known as iris. So this is your iris. It is Edgar Anderson's iris data. This basically contains the variation in sepal width, sepal length, petal width, and petal length in 3 species of iris plant, right? Then if you move on, there are others. For example, you have, let's say we go to the last. So we have women, and this is the average heights and weights for American women, right? So these can be used for correlation studies and others. So a whole lot of data sets are available in base R package. And other datasets are also available in libraries that you install, right? So we'll have a look at those after this. But before that, let's also look at the second method of accessing these datasets. So the other way of doing this is to write ls and in round brackets and in double quotes package is to or colon datasets, right? And then of course you close your double quotes and your round brackets. So when you run this command here, you'll get a list of 104 different data sets that are available in base R. So here you are, this is a list, some of the lists we've already seen. So you'll have air miles, you have air passengers, you have air quality data, and then of course, if you move on, you have CO2, which we talked of earlier also. So this is CO2. Then you have iris here, so this is alphabetically arranged. And then you end up with women and some other world phones and then www usage. So this is the usage of internet and so on and so forth, right? So this is the list of data sets that are available in base R package. They come by default with the installation of R. So if you want to see a list of all packages that are available to you through base R as also the libraries that you've installed, then in that case, this is the command. You say data and then in round brackets, package equal to dot packages. And again, you open a inner round bracket and you say all dot available equals to true, and then close order brackets here. And when you run this part, you'll get a list of all the packages that are available to you here, right? So this should open up. So here you are. So many of the libraries that you install also contain their own data sets for practice purpose. So for example, here you have data sets in package ADE4. So you have, for example, Acacia, right? The spatial pattern analysis in plant communities. Then you have aminoacyl, this is for codon usage. Then you have, for example, here, these are all biological databases. So you have Atlas, small ecological database. Then you have, let's move on and see some other package. So if you move further down, datasets and package deployer, right? So deployer, is a package for manipulating and wrangling data. So here you have, for example, band instruments and band membership. Then you have band instruments 2. This is band membership. This must be an updated version. Then you have Star Wars. This is Star Wars characters. So you have very interesting type of datasets that are available to you, and depending on what is the dataset that you want to work on, you can select which dataset you best suits your objectives of the experiment. Now, let's say you want to pick up one of these datasets and save it onto your file. So the dataset that we're going to look at is what is known as iris. So how to access iris dataset? You say data, and in round brackets and within double quotes, write the name of the dataset that you want to access. For example, here we say data and we say iris, right? So now the script has accessed the iris dataset, and now you want to view the dataset. So you say capital VIEW, and in round brackets, again, the argument is going to be the dataset name that you want to look for. So this is going to be view iris. Now, when you run this, you'll have the iris dataset coming up here. So if you see, iris dataset is basically 5 columns and 150 rows, right? So these are your 5 columns: sepal length, sepal width, petal dot length, petal dot width, and in the last, there is a species column. And you can see this initial 50 are for one species, for example, here, and until here there is Setosa. Then you have vesicolor. From 51 to the next 100, it is vesicolor here, and then from 101 until the next 150, it is virginica, right? So this is the 3 species and the distribution of a length and width of petals and sepals that is being represented in the dataset called iris. So this is a very basic dataset that is very useful when you're exploring features like measures of central tendency, or showing how to plot, let's say, a bar plot or a violin plot, or for that matter, a box plot, right? So this is one dataset that is very commonly used by people for setting up examples. You can also do some basic commands, for example, summary iris, to generate the summary of the dataset that is iris. So when you run this here, you will get this data here. So summary iris, sepal length, what is the minimum, the first quartile, the median, the mean, the third quartile, and the maximum value for sepal length. Likewise for petal length and sepal width and petal width. And then, of course, the last is the species. So this is basically categorical columns. The number of elements for each of these species is mentioned here. So we have 50 examples from Setosa. You have 50 observations from versicolor, and we have 50 observations from virginica, right? So now the next point is, let's say you want to write it out onto a file, as discussed in previous lectures, where I told you 3 or 4 different ways of writing data set to a file. Here you're going to write it in the form of a data frame. So you say write.table, and then you open the brackets, you say iris. This is the name of the data set that you want to write. Then you give the name of the file where you want to write. So you say iris.dataset.txt, and then with the comma, you say append equals to false. So you're going to open a fresh file and write the data set. This is not going to be appended to a pre-existing file. And then you can say, if you want to directly see the file right here into the R studio, you can say file.show and the name of the file that you have written here. So for example, we can directly run this and see. So here you are, you run this, and here is your file, right? So if you see, the file has come and it has all the values, but then there is row number, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 until 150, which is something that is not an integral part of your data set, and you want not to have this. And then also for the character vector here, the values are in double quotes, which is again a problem. Also for the header line, values are in double quotes. So you'd want to avoid double quotes first, and also you'd want to avoid this additional column. So there are options that allow you to do this. And first we do away with the quotes. So we say write.table iris, which is the name of the dataset that we're writing, then the name of the file, iris underscore dataset.txt, then you say comma, append equals to false, because we're going to every time write into a new file or overwrite the original file, and then quote is equal to false again, right? So when you say quote equals to false, the quotes will go. So we can again see how this file shapes up. So here you are, you run this part, and when you run this, here is what you get, right? So no quotes in the header line, no quotes in the categorical variable column, but the row numbers have to be removed. So in addition to the previous arguments, we'll give one more argument here. Let me show you that. So let me close this, and now we come back here. We say write.table iris, which is the name of the dataset that you're writing, then the name of the file where you're going to write it, iris underscore dataset.txt, comma, append equals to false, quote equals to false, and in addition to all of these arguments, you put a comma and you say row.names equals to false. So to write this, now you'll get exactly the way you want the dataset. So let me run this to show you. So here you are, you run this, and here you are, right? So this is the data set that you're talking about, and it is now in file. The name of the file is iris underscore dataset, sepal.length, sepal.width, petal.length, petal.width, and species. So this one is your header line. There are no numbers and nothing. And then again, you don't have any row numbers here. Directly you have the values. For example, 5.1 is the sepal length, 3.5 is the sepal width, 1.4 is the petal length, 0.2 is the petal width, and this is coming from a species of Setosa, right? Another Setosa plant has these vital statistics: 4.9, 3, 1.4, 0.2, and this is Setosa again. And then after the first 50 lines, you have the versicolor here, and after the next 50 lines, you have the starting of Virginica, right? So here you are, this is your Virginica. Right? So this is how you can access a data set in R and also look at the properties of data sets in R, right? So we'll close here, and I see you again in the next lecture. Until then, keep revising, and also it's a humble request, please also keep promoting the channel through your peer groups. Thank you so much.